Well, good afternoon, everyone. We're continuing to work on an omnibus appropriation bill and a COVID relief bill. My view, and I think it's a view shared by literally everybody on both sides of the aisle, we can't leave without doing a COVID bill. The country needs it. We have an agreement that we need to do this. You've been following the discussions back and forth about how to put the package together. It remains my view that we ought to pass what we can agree on, and I think that's a pretty broad area that includes PPP, vaccine delivery, additional assistance to healthcare providers, and a variety of other things that are not controversial. The two big items that you've been writing about are liability protection and state and local government. Let me say this about liability protection. This is not just about businesses. It's about universities. It's about charities and others who see this developing epidemic of lawsuits headed their way. And it's not total immunity. It wouldn't protect you if you were grossly negligent or engaged in intentional misbehavior. But if you weren't, this is a one-time liability relief related to a once-in-a-100-year pandemic that kicks in for a period of time and then goes away. We can't get the economy back to normal if we have an epidemic of lawsuits on the heels of the pandemic. It simply won't make it possible for us to get back to normal. With regard to state and local, a lot of members on our side look at the various states that received the $150 billion we did in the CARES Act and wonder if there's a demonstrable need. So, what's the way forward? We know the new administration is going to be asking for another package. What I recommend is we set aside liability and set aside state and local and pass those things that we can agree on, knowing full well we'll be back at this after the first of the year.
Sir, for the second show, you referred to a new administration coming in. Are you willing to acknowledge that Joe Biden is the president-elect? Will you be able to do so on Monday when the Electoral College votes?
This has become a weekly ritual. The Electoral College is going to meet on the 14th and cast a vote. And we're going to have a swearing in of the next president on the 20th of January. Why don't we concentrate on what we have to do the next 2 weeks? Let me say again, leaving here without a COVID relief package cannot happen. We have to get that done. I think both sides fully understand that. We also are going to continue to confirm people on the executive calendar, both to essential agencies or commissions like the Federal Election Commission tomorrow, the FCC, and some remaining federal district judges. So I want to concentrate on the next 2 weeks, and the period beyond that will take care of itself.
So
yeah.
On those next 2 weeks, I just want to clarify something you said earlier. You've been talking about the importance of the liability protection since July, I think. Mm-hmm. If that's not something that can be broadly agreed to in the next 2 weeks, would you put a COVID relief bill on the floor that does not have that in it?
Well, I'm sure you were carefully listening a while ago. I have a suggestion to make, which is that the two most contentious items be set aside. Liability protection, we all know, with all due respect to our colleagues on the other side, they are almost like a wholly owned subsidiary of the plaintiff's bar. So any kind of liability relief, they instinctively, like a Pavlovian response, object to. We have some very serious questions about the actual need of additional state and local assistance. So what I've suggested to them internally and suggest to you publicly, why don't we set aside the two obviously most contentious issues? We know We're going to be confronted with another request after the first of the year. We'll live to fight those another day and pass the things that we agree on. Yeah.
In the midst of the pandemic, some of your Republican colleagues are raising concerns that Biden's nominee to head HHS doesn't have much of a professional health background and spent a lot of his time filing lawsuits against the Trump administration in California. What's your reaction to that nominee?
All the discussion about who may next come next in the cabinet is something I'm not prepared to address yet. We've got 2 weeks of important business left to do, and that's where I'm going to concentrate my time. Yeah.
The president's made clear he's planning to veto the NDAA. If that veto message comes after you guys have already broke for the year, are you willing to come back and cut recess short to vote on an override of the veto?
You talking about the defense bill?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, let me say, we haven't failed to pass the NDAA for 60 years. If it comes over from the House, obviously I'm going to put it on the floor, and it's my intention to vote for it. Yeah.
On adding to the question here about the defense bill, I mean, are you confident that you would have the votes to this? And isn't that important to help the troops, pay the troops, make sure they don't have pay cuts here, to in fact override the veto on the president on that? You voted 86-14.
Well, we don't know for sure whether the bill will be vetoed or not. I feel like I have a responsibility to put the NDAA on the floor, and as I said, I intend to vote for it. Thanks a lot, everyone.